This is Coach's Corner.
Fans to Coach's Corner, a production of Gulf Coast State College today. Coach Scovel and I will talk about how the Lady Commodores did in two big games last week and another big game coming up. They're all really big games, Coach. So, Lady Commodores 22-1 overall, 5-1 in the Panhandle Conference, which right now is the big part of that. Still ranked number 1 in state coaches poll, ranked number 2 in the NJCAA national poll, and those polls will come out this week, and so they'll change a little bit. And how they change, we won't know till they come out. So, but you know, we had two big games. We talked about it last time on Coach's Corner, how big last week really was. And so we had to travel last Tuesday up to Chipola, which is a tough place to play against a very good team. And the Lady Commodores won 78-73.
Yeah, I thought it was a great effort, you know, to be able to go into their house and get a victory. We knew that that was going to be awfully tough, and you know, we just made big plays when we needed to. We got down real early. I think it was like 20-8, so we really had a hole to dig ourselves out of, and you know, but we didn't panic, and we just kind of kept plugging possession by possession, and you know, at the end of that game, we had more points than they did, so we were just very, very fortunate to get out of there with the win, and it was a huge victory on the road. It gave us a 2-game, you know, lead on them as far as if there's a tiebreaker, if they were in the picture. So that was huge, and just getting another victory in the win column is huge for postseason play.
So, and if we look at that, at the end of the first quarter, it's 24-21 Chipola. But you're right, they started on fire, and we were a little slow in that. And then in the second quarter, we won that 22-17. Third quarter, won 20-12. Nice defensive effort in that third quarter. And then in the fourth quarter, they won 20-15. So, but the Lady Commodores, like you said, just kept scratching and made some big plays at the right time.
Yeah, we did, because you know, we had a 10-point lead going into that fourth quarter, and then the next thing you know, we only have a 2-point lead late in the game, and you know, had to make a stop or had to make a play, and you know, the ball bounced our way, and we did, and again, you know, that victory was huge moving on, but still a lot of basketball to play. You know, only halfway through, and you feel like you've already been to war 3 times.
So, and if we look at scoring for the Lady Commodores, Bennett led all scores with 21. Another good night for her. Yeah,
she's come into conference play, and you know, if they give her an open look, she's probably going to knock it down. And you know, she's getting adjusted. You know, has to adjust a little more to the athleticism and the pressure and handling the ball under pressure. But you know, at the end of the day, we're getting a lot of diverse scoring. So you know, when you have 3 or 4 people in double figures, that's obviously a good sign. People can't double team anybody, and so we're getting, you know, and it's different people every night. You know, Shayla's been kind of consistent, and Taylor Emery's been consistent in conference play. But you know, we're just making plays when we need to, and proud of our kids that we got that victory.
And Emery did follow with 19, and then we had 2 with Edwards with 11 and O'Neill with 11. So there's 4 in double figures. And so, and it does seem like that mixes up a little bit all along through there.
Yeah, well, that seems to be the strength. If you look at, you know, the top 3 teams in the conference right now that are in the top 3 at this point, that may change next week. But, you know, all 3 of us have many weapons. We've got 4 or 5 kids in double figures in conference play. So, you know, it makes for exciting games.
So, and then if we look at Chipola's side, and we'll talk about Barbara Johnson to start with. She scored 36 against us the first game, and she was held to 14. So that's pretty good defensive effort there.
Yeah, it was. You know, made a little adjustment on defensive assignments, and all of that adjustment kind of played out to our favor that particular game. And may have to get creative again and figure out something for the next time, but because they'll obviously figure out a way to counter that. But you know, that was a good thing that we could stop her. But when you look at the others, then Barbara killed us that night, but in that particular night, they all kind of got comfortable and they all scored. They just didn't score enough, thank goodness.
So all 5 of them in double digits. And so, you know, and then Phillips, the first time play, had 2 points, had 19. So you're right, it just moves around in there, and all of them hitting pretty close to their average. But the Lady Commodores did win. Only turned the ball over 20 times against Chipola. They turned it over 11, and we're still fortunate to come out there with a victory.
We got to get that piece figured out. We're definitely not making great decisions with our ball handling, mostly our passing, and we have to get better at that. We keep saying every time you move on to the next game, you got to do something better than you did the previous game. So that's a piece that we've kind of got to get figured out.
And the Lady Commodores have adjusted from being attacked from the top of the key as far as the offensive threats. They were doing a nice job now defending that and taking that away from Tallahassee and Chipola.
Right, right.
And if we look at shooting briefly, 16 of 23, 69% from the free throw line, 6 of 12 for 50% from three-point line, and 28 of 70 for 40% from the floor. At Chipola's pretty good night. Yeah,
when you look at three-point shooting, that's excellent. The 40% from the field, probably needs to be a little better. You kind of, if you can get up around 50 there and 40, if we could reverse that, it would be pretty good. But on that particular night, the threes were more important than the twos, and to win by 5. So a couple of threes made the difference.
Made the difference there.
Yeah.
And then after winning that, we had Saturday night. We had Tallahassee here. The only blemish to the Lady Commodores' record this year was to them when we played it over at the Eagle Dome. But we came back and won 78-62. That's a pretty good win.
That was a great win. We came out. We were real excited about that game, so I felt good that we weren't going to go in and be intimidated by their athleticism, because they're very, very quick. Quick hands, quick feet. That's hard to play against offensively, especially when you're not a great passing team to begin with and a great ball handling team. But we really, really played great team defense, especially in that first quarter, and was pleased that they only had 27 points at the half, and they're averaging about 90 in conference play, or 80. And, so defensively I was really, really pleased. But, the question is can we get a couple games in a row like that? And we've kind of been up and down with defensive effort and defensive play, not effort, play and execution. So we'll see. We got a big game Wednesday, and we're going to have to go over to Northwest, and that's a tough place to play in. And I hope that the challenge will be, can we get 2 games in a row of great defensive play?
So before we move on to that game, if we look at the end of the first quarter, they were up 16-14, and then we came back and scored 22-11 in the second quarter for a 34-27 halftime score. And then 20-19 in our favor, and then 24-16 in the fourth quarter. So if we look at some of theirs, Wilson, the first time we played them, scored 29, had 8 points Saturday night.
It was huge. Now, she got in foul trouble, so those numbers probably a little bit different if she didn't have to sit on the bench for so long in that first half. But I thought we did a much better job. Again, our defensive help and team and communication was just, it had to be there, because we really shot the ball. It was just horrendous in that first quarter. We couldn't make anything, couldn't hit free throws. It was just horrible. And so to not get too far behind, because we kept saying, if they get a big lead on us like Chipola did in the first quarter, it's going to be hard to dig out, because they're going to gain a lot of confidence and they're going to keep coming at you. And when Japonica James can run the floor like somebody shot out of a cannon, you can't let them get a lead. And I just thought we did a good job of making sure they never got comfortable.
And she had 19 for them, and Hill had 14. If we go down to Lady Commodores scoring side, Taylor Emery of 21.
Right.
That's pretty much an average game for Taylor.
If in conference play, that's about what she is averaging. And so Taylor, and she really, when you say 21 points, you think, oh, that's a bunch, but she shot the ball a lot. So she had a poor shooting night. It's hard to believe when you scored 21 to say she had a poor shooting night, but she didn't get comfortable early. But late in that ball game, in the fourth quarter, she really hit some key plays for us.
And then Castro had a double-double, 13 points. 12 rebounds, a good night for her, because she's been struggling a little bit.
Yeah, she's lost her confidence, and all week we kind of talked about that, and it kind of felt like it's time for you to come, and she did, and I thought she had a great game, and probably if Maria didn't play as well as she did, the outcome probably would have been different.
It could have been different. Those, because 10 of those were defensive rebounds in there, and those were big, and then she did hit 3 threes for us, and so that was good to see that, because if she could get that confidence and start rolling here, it will really help.
Yeah, we need Maria's performance to be able to continue on and get a few more wins. We definitely have to have her playing like she did, and hopefully, that'll be the challenge. Can you get 2 games in a row? So we'll see.
So we'll see how we do that. If we look at turnovers, 23 for the Lady Commodores, 16 for them, but those two teams, their defensive pressure is just tremendous.
Well, yeah, they have such an ability to kind of bait you and show a passing lane, and boy, they can take it away real quick. You think it's there, and next thing you know, they're laying it up at the other end. So yeah, we just have to adjust and got to get better. Every day we can't get satisfied. We've got a few wins. Obviously, at this point, it's not enough, but it's enough for right now. So now we got to figure out how to go get some more to get into postseason play.
So if we move on, we'll move on, and then we get to travel over to Northwest Florida. Now, Northwest Florida right now is 14-6 overall, 1-4 in the Panhandle Conference, ranked number 6 in the state coaches poll, ranked number 18 in the NJCA national poll, and they lost to Pensacola. And Herman and I talked about that when we saw that score. Now we got to go over there and play in their place, which is a tough place to play.
Absolutely, but I think it's a testament to show you how good they are. They're 1-4 in conference play, but they're still number 6 in the state. So we all know their potential and what they can do. They go over to Tallahassee and almost won at Tallahassee's house when we couldn't do that. So they're just right on the verge of kind of getting this all together, and hopefully it won't be against the Lady Commodores, but we surely have to get ready for that, put that first game behind us, because it was one of those where we played great, they didn't play well, so it was a very lopsided score. And we better put that behind us and realize that it may be just as lopsided the other way if we don't get ready to play.
Because when we played them back on January 14th, we won 99-55.
Yeah,
but
we played great.
That was an amazing game.
Yeah.
So all the pieces just clicked there. And going to Northwest Florida and playing in the arena against Northwest Florida is a tall order any year.
Yeah, for anybody. And, but again, we can keep saying this. It sounds like a broken record every time you and I talk.
Right.
And, the next game's tougher than the one you just played. And, but I'm proud of our young ladies. We seem to be, taking the challenge. And, I think in conference play, though, is which team's going to come out of this thing alive, because we're really beating each other up and just nagging injuries. And it's tough. It's physical and it's tough. And so we'll see what everybody has at the end. I think we're probably doing ourselves a disservice because we're beating each other up.
And that's what happens, because 12 games for Lady Commodores are against nationally ranked teams.
Right.
And what other conference in the country plays nationally ranked teams the entire conference race?
Right. It's kind of unique. If you took, Baylor and Stanford and UConn and South Carolina and say, okay, you guys go play each other 3 times. Right. And let's see who comes out there in the end. That would kind of be, I was thinking about that just this morning. That's kind of what we're faced with, is you get excited to go beat somebody one time, and then when it's over, it's like, well, we got to go do that 2 more times, and possibly 3 or 4, potentially. So, but it's what makes it fun. It gets these kids ready to move on. I just watched 2 of our former players play against each other yesterday. So, these kind of games definitely get our young ladies ready for the next level.
And if we look at the Panhandle Conference standing right quick, Gulf Coast is 5-1, Chipola 3-2, Tallahassee 3-3, Pensacola State 2-4, Northwest Florida State 1-4. Now Chipola's at Tallahassee Tuesday night.
Yeah.
So we'll actually know how that one turns out before we play Wednesday night at Northwest Florida. So so that'll see whether that gap gets smaller or larger or what happens.
And you really don't know what you wish for. You wish they both could lose somehow, but that should be an exciting game at Tallahassee.
And so we have just a minute. Coach, you were sharing with me that the coach at Eastern Florida State passed away.
Yeah, I just 5 minutes before I walked over here, I'm a little bit shell-shocked that I read an email that there was sad news reported from Region 8 office that Jim Grimes had passed away in his sleep. So I'm just kind of numb. I just can't even believe it. We just played them, a month ago in a holiday tournament down at Florida Southwestern, and talked about his family, and he's got a young daughter in college now. Was getting ready to play for him next year at Eastern Florida. So, it's just unreal. We're all going to be numb to this because he's such a good guy and such a good coach.
So tremendous loss there.
Sad news on the basketball world for Region 8 and in this country. Just such a tremendous person and a tremendous basketball coach.
So, well, Coach, we've run out of time here. So Lady Commodores will be at Northwest Florida State College Wednesday, and we'll carry it live on WKGC 90.7 FM, and I'll be right back with Coach Powell and talk about how the men did. Commodore fans, let's talk about how the men did last week in 2 games and then what's coming up this week. Right now, the Commodores are 15-8 overall, 1-5 in the Panhandle Conference, and receiving votes in the state coaches poll. 2 big games last week. The Panhandle Conference is just such a tough place to play. We played at Chipola, traditionally just a hard place to go play any year, and we lost to them 86-75, Coach, in a battle up there at Chipola.
We came out, we were definitely ready to play. We were up 10 at halftime, and in the second half we didn't shoot the ball well, and Chipola really did a good job of drawing fouls. They were able to shoot, I believe it was 35 or 36 free throws in the second half, 46 or 47 for the game. And so, the tide shifted in the second half, and Chipola defended their home court well and did a real nice job to win the basketball game. To win, you've got to be able to score and put the ball in the hoop, and I believe our second half total for three-point shooting was 0 for 17. Now, maybe 3 or 4 of those in the last minute when we were down, 6, and we're trying to get a three-pointer off quick, so maybe that's somewhat skewed. But we didn't shoot the perimeter shot well in the second half, and it cost us. And they were able to shoot a ton of free throws and made a ton of free throws, which helped them. So give them credit. The men really competed that night and did a nice job as far as the competitive level of it. But it's just hard to overcome some of the things that we did and some of the things that happened to us, some within our control and some not within our control. But, as you mentioned, Chipola's 18-5 and a difficult place to play. And over the last 40 or 50 years, they've established themselves as one of the great programs, premier programs in the nation. So we're 1-1 with them. We host them in round 3 with the opportunity to try to take the season series from them. So should be a great game when they do come over to Billy Harrison Fieldhouse, and we're able to line up and give it a go one more time to see who wins the season series.
So if we look at that, it was 44-34 Gulf Coast at the end of 20 minutes. So the Commodores, it wasn't, and then they made some runs, but Chipola came out and scored 52-31 in that second half, is where they kind of broke it open against us.
Yes, they did. They did a nice job. Like I say, the 2 telling statistics and watching the film was our inability to make perimeter shots and their ability to get to the free throw line. Those 2 things we just could not overcome. Some of them off of penetration. Many of those free shots coming because they were in the bonus with 15 minutes and 20 seconds remaining in the game. They were already in the bonus. So that's tough, because every time you do maybe get a little out of position, maybe time you do get a little aggressive and reach, the rest of the game they're going to get 2 free throws. So
if
that
we
makes
look
it
at
tough.
that, and you talked a little bit about it, they shot 19 more free throws than we did.
Yeah.
For the game, they were 34 of 46, and the Commodores were 19 of 27. But they had several more attempts there.
Yeah, they did. And they did a nice job of making those free throws.
And they did step up and knock them down. If we look at scoring, Commodores, Jeremy Harris, 5 points for the game. That's not normal for Jeremy. But Van Johnson with 12, King with 14, Murphy with 18, hit some nice threes for us, and Robertson with 11. So just hard to score points that night.
It was. We had a few guys in double digits there. Again, the first half we came out ready to play and played well. Second half they got the best of us. And that's the way it's going to go when you're playing the best, night in, night out. So, wish it would have ended differently. I think with 2 minutes to go, it was a 3-point game, maybe 2, but 2 or 3 point game, and they were able to make several free throws, and we missed some perimeter shots, and it kind of I guess they won by 11, just looking at your sheet there. But, it was a pretty tight, close ball game there until the end. So came up short. We're 1-1 with them, like I said. Now we'll move on. And we played Tallahassee on Saturday night, a game that I was looking forward to. I thought that the guys had a couple of good days of preparation after the Chipola game. I thought mindsets were pretty good. And then in the first half, a similar situation. We really competed and did a nice job. Down 6 at the half, but that included them at the buzzer, a loose ball scramble, somebody gets it and they throw it up and throw it in and make the three-pointer at the buzzer to go up 6 at the half. So even at the half, I still liked where we were. And this is, in retrospect, this is where it gets maybe a little deeper, and we'll touch on it a little bit on the show. In the second half, we had a good halftime. We made just one adjustment that we thought was necessary. But then in the second half, watching the film and then seeing the men perform, I started to wonder about a few of the men having the confidence they need to be successful. So we took yesterday off, but starting today, we're going to have to remind the men, you never can lie to an athlete. And so we can't go in today and tell the men you're the best player ever, you're going to be Michael Jordan one day, because they're smart enough to know that. But there's a fine line. The truth is, the way that you feel better about yourself, you have confidence, you have a high level of self-esteem, is by accomplishing things. But there's a fine line, because reality can hit you in the face so hard repeatedly that it'll get you down to where you have trouble remembering when you did accomplish things. So I feel like we're battling a little bit of that right now with some of the guys. As you mentioned, our conference record's not where it usually is and not where we want it to be right now. So we're going to have to remember, and we're going to have to remind the men, hey, you're good players. You're here for a reason. You've been successful. Granted, you haven't won in a couple of games, but you at one point you were 15-3, so you're capable, and we're going to have to figure out how to get that out of the guys over this next 6 games of the season. And it's telling. You hear as you're speaking with the men after the game, and I mentioned this after the game on the radio. We still have some issues, and issues have a negative connotation. So I guess this is negative, but it's not like anyone's choosing to be bad. But one of our guards that started a fair number of games for us, he made the comment, Coach, we every game we make adjustments, and it's hard to change what you're doing every game. And a great response from Van Johnson. He chimed in and said, to the other man, said, it's college basketball. We can't go out and do exactly the same thing every game and expect to be successful. And the young man that was a freshman that said that, he kind of sat there for a second and nodded yes. But we're kind of facing a few of those things to where to be successful against conference teams, especially with Tallahassee, Northwest Florida, Chipola, Pensacola, the type conference we're in, you're going to have to tweak some things, make some adjustments, guard a ball screen this way one night, another way another night, press more some games than the other, play a little more zone some games than another, just some things like that. But it's something that these young men have never had to do, and it's something that's totally foreign to them. So, once the guys get adjusted, I think that they can get that, but we have to get adjusted before confidence levels go down. And so we're working on that and trying to make that happen the best we can. Tallahassee, they got the best of us. They were up 6 at the half. They won the second half by 14. Again, we didn't shoot the perimeter shot well in the second half. We're going to work today and tomorrow in practice of shooting perimeter shots with someone close to us. I don't think you have to force shots, but in college, everyone is so athletic. You do have to make shots with someone in your face at times, especially with the shot clock. So we're going to work on that and hopefully get used to shooting with someone in our face the next 2 days. and hopefully that'll pay off in our game Wednesday and thereafter. But those are the type of things that I've noticed as the coach that I'll share with you and share with fans. Those are a couple of the adjustments that I want to change and try to put them in the best situation possible for them to be successful.
And if we look at that, now we got to remind the Commodore fans, Tallahassee ranked number 11 in the country. So it's a very good basketball program. Plus, their shooting numbers, field goal percentage almost 52% for the game, 3-point percentage 50% from the game, and 75% from the free throw line. They just shot the lights out of it, and they are a very good ball team.
You know, they did shoot the lights out of it, but you know they only scored 73 points, and they're not really a slow it down team. So, you know, defensively, some things that are getting us caught and getting us in trouble is that we will overhelp from the perimeter, and then after we get burned that way, we will underhelp with our perimeter defense, especially on the weak side. So what ends up happening is instead of being solid and being exactly where you're supposed to be each time, we go a little too far. Oh, I'll do what Coach said, plus a little. Well, then once that you get burned on that side, then you shortchange it a little bit, and you get burned on this side. And some of that's just maturity and figuring out how to play. I don't sense it's not like a defiance. It's just guys haven't really gotten used to how solid you have to be in the Panhandle Conference to be successful. And hopefully with continued repetitions, continued coaching and being shown and taught, hopefully the guys will make those adjustments and get it right.
Now Wednesday night we go over to the arena, Northwest Florida. They're 19-2 overall, 5-0 in the Panhandle Conference, ranked number 1 in the state coaches poll, and ranked number 8 in the NJCAA national poll. So a tough place to go play. But as you were alluding to, every Panhandle Conference game is tough every night. And some of these freshmen coming in haven't had to play at that kind of intensity for 40 minutes.
And you're right, and I think it's shown. It is shown. Jeremy Harris and Van Johnson are doing a good job of leading. At the end of the day, though, they're the only two that have been through it, and so that's sometimes some of the lumps are part of it. We do go to Northwest Florida Wednesday night, and then we're off Saturday of this weekend. Northwest Florida, great team, tough place to play. There's only a couple of Panhandle Conference teams that have ever won in their new building, and we're one of them. So we've won there before, but it's tough, and you don't win there very often. So men are going to have to play with a little bit of swagger. They're going to have to play with some confidence. They're going to have to believe in themselves again. If you ask them, they'll always say that they believe in themselves, but sometimes that's just talk. And so they really have to truly know they're good enough to be successful. So we'll remind them of that, and we will go and compete with full expectation of winning the game.
So, and that's what you got to do, Coach. So we're about out of time. So Lady Commodores will play at 5:30 Wednesday at Northwest Florida, and the men will play at 7:30. Those games will be broadcast on WKGC 90.7 FM and HD. So for Coach Jay Powell, I'm James Baxley. Thanks for watching, Commodore fans, and we'll see you next time on the Commodore Sports Network.
This has been Coach's Corner with your host, James Baxley.